All right, you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm bringing to you guys a little book review. I don't know if I want to call it a book review, but I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit about some of the books that we read, how we used them, what worked, what didn't. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So first off, all these books are kind of all over the place. Okay, so we have some readers, we have some things that I implemented in with our history, and I think our science, and some books that my daughter read. So I'm just gonna jump right in, and we are gonna start with the readers that my daughter read. So this is 10 Girls Who Didn't Give In. This is by Light Keepers. Now, she read this one, and she also read the one on differences. Now, these are basically Christian women who were persecuted for the love of Christ. She really enjoyed these books. They were really sad, she said, but they were really, really good. So I'm thinking I'm going to get her more of these because she read both of them and it was her choice to read these. So she really enjoyed that. She also read The Dead Sea Squirrels. This one she really liked. I think it's for younger ages. I want to say like up to 9. She's 10, almost 11. I don't think it really matters. She says it's pretty funny and it's cute. She enjoyed it. So nice, easy read for her. The next book I have here is Mr. Popper's Penguin. This is something that we did together. She really enjoyed this. It's a little funny. It's about this guy who always wanted to be like an Antarctic explorer, and one day he's not, and he has a family, and one day he gets a package and it's a penguin, and then like the penguins multiply, and he's trying to become like, he's trying to have them do shows to make money. And it's kind of funny. It really is funny. The end I was not very happy with. Me and my daughter were like, what? But it is what it is. It was pretty cute though. It was funny. And there's actually a movie on this that I think we're gonna watch. But again, this is Mr. Popper's Penguin. It was pretty cute. So the next book I have here is Shiloh. This is about a little boy that finds a dog, and he just wants the dog so bad. Now in this book, there is some topics that you may want to know about. There is alcoholism in here, and there is abuse in here. There's lying. There may be a few choice words in here. So if you want to do this as a read aloud so you can explain things to your kiddo, or if your kiddo's a little bit older, it'd be fine. But there are some things in here, but it's a really good book. My daughter and myself did this as a read aloud. I actually purchased the other 2 books that go along with this. I think that there's 3 parts to this book. But we really enjoyed this. It was really good. So the next book I have here is Hatchet. Now, I do want to mention that I started this book as a read aloud with my daughter. Through the first chapter, it's pretty intense, very graphic. And so I think I only got through 2 chapters, and myself and my daughter decided that we would wait like a couple more years until she reads through this. My older niece, who's in 8th grade, read this. It's really good. It talks about, I'm not sure, you guys may want to mute this. I'm not sure if you guys are watching this with kids and if you've talked to them about certain topics, but this book touches on suicidal thoughts, and it's just a really deep book, but it sounds so good, you guys. When I was reading it, I was like, wow, it's a really good book, but I would definitely wait until your kiddos are old enough. Now, I've talked to my daughter about a lot of topics, a lot of subjects. Same thing with Shiloh, with the alcoholism and the abuse and stuff. My husband and myself are very open with my daughter about things like that. And so we kind of walk through it in a Christian perspective and talk to her about everything in a Christian perspective, biblically. I can't talk today, you guys. I'm like tongue-tied. But definitely I would think about waiting on this. But if you have olders that know about things like that, then definitely this would be a really great book for them. Let's see here. So moving on, these are books that my daughter just wanted to read. This was Was Milton Hershey. My daughter really loved this book. She read it all on her own. She picked it from our bookshelf and she enjoyed it. She loves the Who Was series, you guys. Something that I had her read was this Amelia Earhart, and this book she said she really enjoyed learning about her. She actually did a little book report, an oral book report on her, and told all about the story and who she was, and so she really enjoyed this one. So I mean, I don't think you can lose with the Who Was series. So yeah, those are good reads. So moving on, this is kind of random, but this is an Easter time read. This is The Donkey Who Carried a King. I actually purchased this last year, you guys. I read this year for Easter and last year. And I don't know if I've shared it with you guys, but this is such a cute story. You can use it for younger kids. I read it even to my junior high niece. Like, it's just such a sweet story. So that's a good Easter read. There is a slip on it, but I took it off. So something that my sister purchased actually for the girls at the beginning of the year, the kids, I haven't read this to Isaiah yet, but to the girls we did read it. This is Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Junior, because our kids are on the electronics. Sometimes we want to just make sure that they understand the safeties of being on electronics and knowing like when to tell us specific things or get off of specific things. So this kind of touches on it a little bit. It doesn't really go in depth, but it touches on it like on the surface. This is something that you can use for younger kids. This is something that you can actually use as more of a conversation starter to kind of go deeper into things depending on where your kids are at in age and maturity and things like that. So this is something that you guys can always look into getting to talk about safety on the internet or, you know, electronics. Okay, so now I'm jumping into some of the reads that we did for supplemental work. So we just, let me see here. I'll go in order of how we did it. So this one is Let's Drive Henry Ford. This was just a little short story that we read I cannot talk. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. So this is a story that we read after we read about the lesson in our history book. So we went ahead and just read this. I didn't turn it into a unit study or anything. We literally just read about it and then we talked about it a little bit. But that was an okay. This one, I would say if you want to get a book, maybe stick with the Who Was series and not this Scholastic one, because I love the Who Was series and so do the kids. Something else we learned about was Louishine, okay, and the children with the child labor laws and stuff back in the day. This one was so good, you guys, to read to the kids, just to kind of open up their eyes to what life was for kids back in the day, the responsibility that they carried on working to make money. And they weren't even really working to make money. They were just literally being used to just like make the company's money. It was very crazy. But Louishine is actually the man that went around. He was a teacher originally, and he went around throughout the United States and took picture and reported on these kids that were stuck in the child labor. This is when they were fighting for child labor laws. And it was so sad. I literally wanted to cry throughout this book. So these are just some of the pictures of the kids that like were working. There were literally like 2-year-olds, you guys. Some of the kids were down where the mines were. It was too much. It was way too much. So that, if you are going to do a study on that, that would be kind of a good read aloud or to do as the kids were working through something. So the next book I have here is Orphan Train Writer, One Boy's True Story. This walks through the Orphan Train story, but it also pulls in this little boy's story. So basically he's like separated from, I think his mom passes away, then his dad gives him and his brothers to the orphanages, and he makes 2 of the older brothers leave, and like they're all separated and there's only 2 of them together, and they get sent off on the orphan train and they're trying to be placed in homes. And it's so sad, you guys. It really is. You know, that's the thing about history is so sad. It's so sad. But you want your kids to know the past so that they have education in it, so that they know where things come from, so that they know how to appreciate life as it is. But this is something that we worked through and I read to them. So again, this is not a unit study. I just read it to them after we learned about the Orphan Train. Something else we just worked through was World War I did a unit study with this to go along with this book, but we read through this together and it was really good. It taught them a lot. They remembered a lot. So when we started World War II, they actually remembered a lot from World War I. So this we finished within, I think it was like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So this one was a really good unit study as well. Sorry if you guys hear noise, it's my neighbor working on his yard. So this is something we just read as a read aloud. This is all about women in World War II. This one was pretty cool because it explained to them what women did during World War II, how like they weren't respected and then they actually got respect from people. But it talked about what they couldn't do, what they could do. There's real life photos in here. Same thing with these two. There's real life photos in here and the other books. All of these books have real life photos, which is really cool because they're actually seeing history for real. Something else that we did was the Anne Frank. This is Ordinary People Change World. I will mention that this is more aimed for younger kids. This is a comic style book, but it doesn't really touch on what happened to her in the concentration camps or anything like that. It's a very soft approach to her story. So it's definitely for younger kids. But we did like a little unit on it where they answered some questions. They had some creative writing that went along with it, but we really enjoyed reading that book. Something else we read that did not go with a unit study, this is Harvesting Hope, the story of Cesar Chavez. This one was so good. It spoke about him helping to change the laws for farmers helpers, people that went and helped pick all the fruit and the vegetables and things like that, and how they weren't treated fairly. And so he helped change those laws. So it was such a good book. Me and my daughter really enjoyed that one. The last one I'm going to share with you guys has to be one of our favorites. This is Secrets of the Sea. This one was so cool. It was about her and how she started to want to learn more about ocean life. So she actually figured out how to take certain species, in this case it was an octopus, and put it into an aquarium tank and like research it and figure out things. And I forgot the name of the specific octopus it was. The one with the shell on the head. Oh my gosh, you guys, this one was so good and the illustrations are so pretty. Myself and my daughter really enjoyed this one. We read this because we just went through marine biology through The Good and the Beautiful, so it actually worked out perfect. If you guys read this book like at the end of the marine biology lesson, oh, so good, you guys. But that is it. I hope that you guys enjoyed hanging out with me, and I hope you found some books that you guys can implement in your homeschool. So thanks again, you guys. Be safe, be blessed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars,